Indigenous people, tribes' political power, is the origin of it is in your vote.
The Native American Rights Fund has for decades fought for Native voting rights. Narf and partners in a Native Vote Coalition are identifying issues and exploring solutions. They recently surveyed more than 4,000 Native voters in 4 states and held 10 field hearings in various locations.
And the barriers that we found are things that you would find in the Jim Crow era. They were absolutely shocking. Places like, there were certain places that we discovered where they wouldn't let people vote if they lived in a mobile home, claiming that it wasn't a permanent residence. There were places where, you have to drive 80 miles each way in order to register, whereas in other states, you can register online. There seem to be created all these various hurdles. Refusal to allow early voting locations. I love this one because when the Native community, in our experience, has requested an early voting site for its reservation, for example, they'll be told you have to pay for it. I'd like to see you tell an urban population in Atlanta that they have to pay for their own polling place. That's just not the way it works. But that's exactly what they do to Native people.
The coalition even heard testimony about voter intimidation with armed law enforcement officers and other forms.
But the strangest story that I heard was of a polling place where a tribe had requested it for many, many years. The jurisdiction relented and allocated them a polling place, but made it right on the boundary of the reservation, so you had to cross the road. And it was in a chicken coop beside someone's house. So you actually had to duck down and go into a chicken coop, which still had egg crates and egg boxes in it in order to vote. And that's something clearly designed to demean the people.
In Alaska, tribal leaders say people in remote communities are most likely to face these challenges, but fixing it requires legislative change.
In rural Alaska, it's tough to get an ID, and so we want to be making sure that we're talking about that and that you don't have to, in a community of a couple hundred people, when the voter registrar knows you, that should be enough, not having to have that photo ID that you have to fly into Bethel or Nome or to get, and most people don't make those trips very often. So it's funny to say, and I've had this conversation where people are like, oh, well, you should have a voter. It's no big deal to ask for a photo ID. And I'm like, well, it is if you live in a community where it costs you $800 to get into your regional hub. People in the lower 48 fly cross country for less than what it takes to go, just a little ways for people in rural Alaska. So there are those barriers. And so we need to be pushing for legislative fixes and changes to these things. And again, that takes voting.
Voter turnout in Alaska was low in the 2018 primary. Past elections have shown that the Native vote matters. Many say Alaska Native people played a key role in U.S. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski's successful 2010 write-in campaign.
Each vote counts, and if more of the people out there vote, then we will make a difference in making sure that the policies that the elected leaders do will make sure that our issues are addressed in each of our communities. If we do not vote, and if we do not make that difference, then we will live with the consequences that those policies that differ from those that we elect will affect our quality of life in each community.
And I vote today because my ancestors didn't have the right to vote. My grandmother wasn't born with the right to vote either as a Native person or as a woman. And so, we are impacted greatly by legislation, especially as Native people. And if you're going to be concerned about how we're impacted, then you need to be concerned about who's representing us, and we need to be engaged, and we all need to vote. It's really scary to me about the low voter turnout. We really need to engage. My message lately has been, hey, you're going to go vote, great. Bring, 10 of your friends, family, and get them to do the the same thing, and let's go vote as a group. Let's celebrate that we have the right to vote.
Some strides have been made through litigation. A years-long fight in Alaska ensured native language voter assistance. And in Nevada, voter registration sites and polling places on tribal lands. Voting rights advocates say, despite challenges, Native people always find a way to come back.
But the fact is, why do they have to fight this hard to vote? Why do they have to sue to vote? Why do they have to buy their own machines, pay for their own polling places, and issue their own IDs? Voter suppression. We as Indigenous people have been here a lot longer and have been through an enormous amount and aren't going to be kept down by something like this.
In Anchorage, I'm Antonia Gonzalez.